What happens when you've been training for a career in opera and you suddenly realize that you don't actually have the drive to sing?
That's exactly what happened to today's guest, Chandler Johnson, during the COVID pandemic.
And that pivot set him on a new course that eventually landed him here at the Santa Fe Opera as a director of our Apprentice program for singers.
But this episode isn't just about Chandler.
It's about you and discovering the journey of what you want your life's work to be.
Have you ever wanted to know how an opera singer prepares on performance days?
Or what it's like on the other side of the audition table.
Or how to find the courage to take more creative risks in your own life and work?
I'm Anna Garcia with the Santa Fe Opera.
And I'm Olga Perez Flora with the University of New Mexico.
And in Season 6 of Key Change, we're pulling back the curtain
to reveal what it takes to build a rewarding and sustainable career in opera.
Illuminate just what can happen when you build meaningful partnerships with incredible collaborators.
And give you a sneak preview of the next generation of talent taking root right here in New Mexico.
And right here on Key Change. Hi, Olga.
Hi, Anna. How are you?
Let's see. It's the Monday after Thanksgiving. We're good. We're full. Our fridge is full. We're still full. It's been quite a time.
Yes.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready for my Thanksgiving to Christmas diet break.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Healthy eating again. Yes, this conversation was recorded back in November 2024.
But we have a guest in the studio today.
I'm so excited.
Would you mind introducing
I would be thrilled to introduce
special guest?
Our special guest and dear friend, Chandler Johnson from Santa Fe Opera.
Hi, Chandler.
Hi.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm excited to chat with y'all about everything.
Absolutely.
I'll start. Who is Chandler?
Who is Chandler?
We're going to go deep.
Chandler was born in Greenville, South Carolina, and throughout my life, I moved a bunch because of my dad's profession. We lived in Atlanta for a little bit. We lived in Baltimore, Maryland. Then after high school, I went to the University of Cincinnati, College Conservatory of Music, and I stayed there for 6 years. I did undergrad and my master's there, and it was the most exciting 6 years of my life, to say the least. But then my parents moved back down south, and I kind of have taken on the mantle of moving around a bunch.
Yeah,
and
you have.
From Cincinnati, I had a bit of a freelance career, did a few young artist programs, and then, the pandemic happened. And that's when I started to actually ask the real question of who is Chandler, because I was not as fulfilled as I thought I was going to be as a singer. I didn't really like life on the road, and it's funny I say that because now my life is life on the road.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, America's Most Wanted, I like to say.
But it's been a true journey in figuring out who I am and what I want my life's work to be. So I'm still on that journey of discovery, but that's kind of who Chandler is.
Yeah. What role do you have at the Santa Fe Opera?
I've had many titles at the Santa Fe Opera. First being, I think it was artistic associate. And then from there, it was artistic and casting associate. Then it was manager, casting, and the Apprentice program for singers. Then it was the associate director of the Apprentice program for singers. And now it's the director of the Apprentice program for singers.
Okay, since you can't see me, I was counting that on my hand. So that's 5. That's 5 different titles. What a way to go.
That's so great.
And we're very lucky to have you.
We are so lucky to have you. The Apprentice program, I've been so fortunate for the last 3 or 4 summers to be able to come up and hear them quite a bit in shows and in their own opera scenes program. And it's just been stunning. I love it.
Thank you.
The singers last summer really just bowled me over. And it was really fantastic. I want to go back. I have a question.
Yeah.
What young artist programs did you do as a singer?
So my first, shout out to all of them because they were all great and big part of my training. My first young artist program was Chautauqua Opera in 2018. And then 19, I was invited to the Glimmerglass Festival. Funny story, I arrived late, almost a month late. And there was something happened where a young artist needed to leave. And I got a call and I was like, can you be here like by the end of the week? And I was like, sure.
I sure can.
Yeah, I was like, sure, let me just tell my job that I won't be coming in, and that's that.
Yeah.
And so I got there about a month late, and Showboat was about to open. Traviata was opening, like, I think the next week. And then Blue had, I think, like 3.5 weeks before it opened. And so it was a crash course in, you don't know any of this music. You've never worked with any of these people, but here we go.
Yeah.
Just go, 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 go. And so I found some of my very best friends from following them because they were teaching me my track as we were like in the middle of dress rehearsals. So
Wow.
that was fun. And then I was a young artist at Opera Santa Barbara, which was
great.
really fun. You know, it was kind of that perfect place of serious work, but then like also serious fun because the beach was like right there. And
Beautiful.
so it was
and all
really
those
fun.
wineries.
Yeah, exactly.
So beautiful.
And that's where I was right before the pandemic.
At sea level.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. But yeah, so those are the programs I did. And then I freelanced for a few different companies, and that was really fun too, but taught me a lot about, again, this journey, taught me a lot about myself and made me realize, like, I don't know how happy I am, like, you know, bouncing from hotel or homestay or, you know, crashing on a friend's couch. And I don't know.
Just living out of a suitcase.
Yeah, it really put a lot of things into perspective for me. And so I think early on, I knew that I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know if I was ready to essentially do what I'm doing now. And it wasn't until I met my beloved mentor, who I just, no words, Gaylitha Nichols, who said to me, you can be an administrator now. You know, you just need the right people to believe in you and also show you the ropes. And she took really good care of me in that way. So
that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I love her foresight and knowing that you could do it. And I find it incredibly admirable on your part as a young singer who was clearly on a great track. You were singing for great companies, but you looked inward and said, hey, I want to do something different.
Yeah, I can definitely say, I think I'm a very self-aware person. I think that was kind of instilled in me when when I moved around almost every 4 to 5 years and had to meet new people and had to start learning multiple personalities, I never really got to sit in delusion too long. So I think that was a big asset to my singing. I knew I wasn't going to be the second coming of anything. I was like, yeah, I'm okay. Like, I'm good enough, like, you know, and I make pretty sounds sometimes. And, you know, I can, you know, turn a beautiful phrase, and I think I'm fun on stage. But the pandemic really taught me, like, I don't think I have the drive to sing. And I also realized during the pandemic that I didn't come to opera through the guise of singing. I came to opera through the lens of, what do I like, what do I not like? I think we were having dinner one time and you said to me, like, when did you start, like, getting into opera? And I was like, high school. And I told you a story about, you know, me listening to recordings and, you know, having a notebook where I would take notes about the singers. I mean, did I have the right to do that at that time? No, but it really helped me develop a palette for what I like, what I think is good singing. And from there, putting it into practice, I think that all helped me get to where I am now.
Wow.
So
I think that's great. When we were with Pittsburgh Opera, there was a group of us that, for fun, just for funsies, y'all, we would take operas and we would cast them. Like, who would you cast as? And I just want to say to the young singers out there listening to this podcast, what a great and fun thing to do with your friends on a Saturday night. Get together, get a bottle of wine.
That's a drinking game.
In
its own.
In that case, I'll go. I'll play.
I have one follow-up, which is, do you still sing? Like, do you ever pick up an aria or a score and say, hey, I'm just going to sing a little bit?
I still sing for fun. Like, my roots were church music, musical theater, R&B, that kind of stuff. So I'll still explore around with that stuff.
Yeah.
But I won't pick up an aria I still study them, though. Like, I'll go to the piano, play through something. Okay, I'm not a pianist. That sounded like I...
I was like, wow.
No. Like, I'll pluck out pitches and, really look at how I might approach something to talk to a singer about it.
Yeah.
Like, especially if I'm doing a masterclass and I've never heard a piece before, I will play right on through it. Then I will look at, okay, can I hum through this, see what happens, And if I really need to, I will. But I still warm up. Like, that.
Nice.
I still warm up. But sing, no, man.
Yeah. Christmas carols in the car? Come on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, music in the car, generally.
Sure.
Yeah, but
of course.
I'm always singing along to, like, my favorite pop girlies or...
Yes.
Happy birthday,
Me
Britney
too.
Spears. Happy birthday. Yes, it was Britney Spears' birthday when we recorded this conversation. Well, I just wanted to know, if I turn Chandler's car on right now, what is playing?
The Wicked soundtrack.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And yes, Wicked the movie had just opened in theaters. Can we talk about, I saw the movie on Saturday. Did you go this weekend?
Absolutely.
Oh, I think Cynthia Erivo is special.
Yeah.
She's magical.
Yeah, they both did something in that, which is they took care of the art.
Yes.
And I think that that's so special. And I think that, in the classical world, we can learn how to do the same thing, take care of these pieces. And it was magical for me.
It was. Me too.
Part 2 can't come out fast enough.
At the end, my 8-year-old was like, "Are you kidding me?"
So it's 2 thumbs up for Wicked. We got 2 thumbs
Absolutely.
up. Okay, awesome.
Can I, put all my fingers up for
No,
Wicked?
Yes.
all fingers up for
tens
Wicked.
across
Yes.
the board? Yes.
Beautiful.
It's something unique about growing up with the piece to know that, like, I never saw the original cast. Actually, the cast I saw, I can't tell you who was anybody but Elphaba, and it was Jessica Vosk. And it was one of those moments where you walk into the theater and you're like, yeah, I've heard all the music before. I've listened to both CDs, I think came out. It was like the 10-year anniversary CD and then the original. So when I walked into the theater, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go see this show. And it was, again, another moment of an artist taking care of the piece. I was blown away, and I'm still a huge fan of Jessica Vosk, who, backs up her singing with some classical training on the side. And I'm like, I love that so much.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to New York soon, and I'm like, do I actually want to go see Wicked on Broadway?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you might. I think you might.
Chandler, can you tell us about the Apprentice program at the Santa Fe Opera?
Yeah. The Apprentice program, this is kind of like the big tagline, is that it's the first of its kind in the States. And John Crosby's idea for the Apprentice program...
John Crosby, founder of the Santa Fe Opera and general director for 44 seasons.
John Crosby's idea for the Apprentice program was to develop a training program for American singers that then would propel them and make them ready for European careers. And that idea then kind of broadened, and they originally just did the ensembles, and then, they started doing small roles. They started covering the lead roles. And so it really has blossomed into this well-oiled machine. And every year we get between 36 to 46 singers in any given season. It depends on the repertoire. And they make up our chorus, they make up the small roles, they make up covering the leading roles, and then, they have scenes. And it's a fun 13 weeks. It's a pressure cooker, but it's a 13-week program that is, for a lot of them, life-changing.
So you mentioned there being a bit of a pressure cooker. Can you talk a little bit about what some of those challenges would be for the apprentice singers?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it is my job to be honest with them. They're all talented. That's why they're here. But, it's like you find the precious gem or metal, but it still needs to be shaped and not molded, but you get what I'm saying. Polished, exactly. And so there are steps that gem or that metal goes through to become, then the luxury item that you buy. And so for me, I understand my job to be that I have to be honest with them. If an aria is not working for them, I have to say, this isn't working for you. I also have to say sometimes I don't like this. I really don't.
Yeah.
And with saying I don't like it, then comes you need to coach with this person. You need to work on this with this person and start pointing them in the right direction. And then they come back and they're like, is this closer? And you're like, no. Or they come back and you're like, this is the right path.
Yeah.
Go down this path.
Yes.
This is right.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of the being in the pressure cooker. I mean, they already have very long days, very long hours. You know, sometimes they're here 10 to 1 in the morning. And then, you know, they have me interjecting in the middle saying, I don't like that.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so like it really makes them say whether or not they really want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, because they're met with the 360 view of the industry. You know, they're also expected to go to donor events. They're expected to meet the patrons, and, you know, it's just so much at one time. 13 weeks sounds like a long time. It's not. It's really not.
Goes by fast.
You know, I give them my timeline. I say, look, week 7, you're going to be like, okay, this is the right amount of time. I'm so happy. I'm glad. And then you realize, oh, shows haven't opened yet. Like nothing's opened yet. And you're like, okay. And then you realize that, you know, come it's week 6, but week 7, week 8, you're opening shows. And then those start, you know, to slowly go into repertory. And then you're met with, you know, your scenes and outside gigs. And, you know, but then the mental stuff starts to creep in. How do I stack up against the other 43? Am I doing what they want? I have my cover run tomorrow, but my allergies are like really acting crazy, and this is the one shot I have to sing through this whole role and do it with the staging that I haven't really been able to see because I've been in rehearsals for. I mean, it's just so much that they mentally, physically, vocally go through here that it is a pressure cooker. It really is a pressure cooker. And it is important that when you apply and when you think that you're ready, that you understand that this is not a walk in the park. Even for those who have light contracts, they're still like, I really worked hard this summer. I'm like, don't tell anybody else that. Like, don't tell your colleagues that who were in every show.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, no one really catches a break. This is the moment where we say, we've given you the tools. We've been honest with you. We've said our part. You've agreed. You've disagreed. You've said, I don't know. But then you go out in the real world and you see how that all stacks up.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And then how do y'all deal with potential vocal issues, illness, allergies, altitude?
Oof.
The first 3 weeks of the program, we expect like people to be like, altitude is like kicking my butt. New allergies. I mean, I've lived here for going on my it's over my 3rd year, but I found out I have new allergies here. And I'm like, what? I've lived here for so long. How is this possible? But singers come and within the first couple days are like, I've never had allergies a day in my life and I can't breathe through, you know, my right nostril. And so, you know, we do have a wonderful ENT team set up and we send them to the ENT and we prescribe some of the things that we do ourselves. But really a big part of it is your body just has to adjust. And so we just say, tough it out.
Neti pot, get a humidifier. Yeah, all the things. Great.
All the things.
How many applications do you get?
Over 1,000 every year. Yeah, over 1,000 every year.
In case you're doing math, that's over 1,000 applications for 36 to 46 spots in the program. That's a less than 5% chance of being selected.
Some of the applications range from like young singers who are not quite ready, but it's nice to see them throw their name in the hat.
Yeah.
And then we have some seasoned vets in the young artist world where we have seen and watched them really develop. And then the opportunity is right. And so it's really striking the iron when it's hot.
Can we talk about the audition process?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how many of these singers have auditioned for you all throughout the audition season?
Probably somewhere from 220 to 260, 270.
That is a lot of listening. Tell us a little bit about the process, and then if you would follow up with maybe what you're looking for, what you're listening for, and something that would make a singer unique and would make them stand out in that process.
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time, but the initial things I listen for, I shouldn't say we, pitch, accuracy, musicianship, style, and a real command of the performance. You know, I think so many times singers walk in and they allow the nerves to rule. I know I did when I was singing, but they allow the nerves to rule, and then they get in their head, and then they try to be both singer and panelist. And the best auditions that I see is when the singer just allows themselves to be the singer. That is so special.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we're going to call for what we're going to call for. We're going to maybe ask you for a third piece. We might listen to the whole first aria and then be like, you know what, let's just hear a quarter of this, half of this. Can you do, you know, the B section into the A prime? You can't play that game. So for me, it is always unique when a singer comes in and just allows themselves to just be free and to be honest, be vulnerable, tell a story, and have that story come from real lived human experiences.
Yes.
Because that's when it's like, oh, this character goes from being a character to, oh, I know who that is.
Yes.
And that's really special.
Yes. I always tell the singers, be yourself.
Yeah.
And they look at me sometimes like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, really.
Yeah.
Be yourself as much as you can.
Yeah. I think that that's the thing about opera is that sometimes we're so afraid to make it relatable because it is this historic art form. And sometimes we are afraid to identify with characters. These characters are real people.
Absolutely.
You know, they've walked the same streets that we've walked. They've walked, you know, the same paths, breathed the same air. You know, it's like they're real. They're among us. And so when we disassociate, you know, to try to say like, oh, I have to play this French maiden and, you know, she is in love with a man and then this, it's like, honey, just sing the song and put yourself in the perspective of knowing, like, I know this person.
Yes.
And once we see that you know that person, we then too know that person.
That's right.
And it's so magical.
Yeah. Believability.
Yeah, exactly.
So these apprentice singers get this incredible email saying they've been welcomed to Santa Fe Opera for this.
They don't get an email, they get a phone call.
Oh, they get a phone call now. Oh, I love it.
Who's calling them?
That's a
Me.
touch. A touch of both.
Just making sure. I'm new here.
I love it. So they get a phone call.
Yeah.
And what is that preparation for the summer, and what does the summer look like for these singers?
The preparation for the summer, we send in their music, their chorus music. If they are a lead role or covering a lead role, they have to buy their own score. But, you know, they get their music. We tell them, please show up with it learned. Then it's the summer. And they come here. They have orientation on the first day. And then our chorus director, Suzanne Cheston, she's the real anchor in all of this. I have to give her a big, big, big shout out because she's with them almost more than I am sometimes. Like, you know, she's with them collectively. And so she is the temperature check. She is their first, you know, point person sometimes because they see her so much because, you know, she's always at every rehearsal. She's always around. But she's also been a fantastic, fantastic colleague and a great support in this. But she greets them on the first day with, all right, let's go. And you go from listening to a very still and quiet campus. And then that first Monday, it's like, it's so loud. It's so many, you hear so many gorgeous voices and you're just like, wow, like the place is coming alive.
Yeah.
Literally with the sound of music, if I may. If I may.
And then, you know, they start coachings for their small roles or getting coached for their covers. both small and lead covers.
Covers in the opera world are like understudies in the theater world. They learn the principal roles in each main stage opera so that they can perform in the event that the primary artist cannot sing for any reason.
They then have consultations with me, and from there, the summer kind of unfolds. I mean, rehearsals for the operas start, and there's kind of a beautiful schedule that's outlined when the shows arrive. They start rehearsals, and then, once this show is kind of to a certain point, the next show comes in, and it's a system that the big they who started this a long time ago, they really did an excellent job of just, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It feels perfectly timed out. So
nice.
It's great.
And then it seems to me, just as an outsider, I guess maybe half inside now, but that Industry Day and the Apprentice opera scene program seem like two big goalposts for the Apprentice singers.
Absolutely. I mean, those days are one of the biggest reasons why you become an apprentice, why you want to become an apprentice. Every season we have over 75 companies represented, both, domestically and internationally. And you're singing for the people who will hire you for the next umpteen years. Yeah. And it's very special because despite the nerves, despite the energy that's, flowing through the place, everyone that's out in the audience is so excited to hear them. And they then, for the last few seasons, I've just seen people rise to an occasion that I'm like, I couldn't be prouder. They really represent themselves and the work that they've done here and before they got here, but they represent the work they did here really well. Then the scenes, that's kind of like a celebration.
When Chandler says scenes, he's talking about the performance showcase that happens every festival season on the main stage, in which the apprentices get to perform and select scenes from various operas.
And of course, we love an audience. Check our website for dates and tickets.
That's a big, joyous time because I try to keep the scenes within reason of what they can do, but I also want it to be things that stretch them. And there are even times that I give them scenes that they've done before, but I say, you're working with a new director, you're working with a new, conductor. Embrace that experience because the thing is, in your career, you're going to repeat a lot of roles. And so
that is right.
It is one of those things where, they bring so much heart to these scenes. Yeah. And it's so exciting to watch them stand up on stage and really have their moment to shine. And the tech apprentices do an exceptional job every year.
The Apprentice program for theater technicians offers instruction and practical experience in stage operations, props, audio and video, costumes, production, music services, makeup and wig construction, stage lighting, and scenic art.
It was one year I was like, this can't get better than last year. And literally, I see the set on stage during one of the rehearsals. I was like, wow, you guys really knocked this out of the park. And, so it's a big celebration, celebrating the singers and the technicians. And that's really fun.
So then these singers, ostensibly leave and they do many wonderful things. Some of them go on to become directors, managers, and some of them do have lovely singing careers. There are two singers now who are doing some wonderful things, and I only mention them because I happen to have worked with them in the past, but Katie Henry did her Met debut last week.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, and Lydia Grandato is going to be singing Leonora at Wexford, and I just wanted to give you and the whole team a shout out for those are two of many, many, many who go on to do wonderful things. What is that like for you all when they move on, and sometimes they even come back and sing roles here?
Yeah, it's exciting. You don't feel responsible necessarily for their gift. Their gift is their own.
That's right. But
you feel proud that maybe one word you said or maybe one, encouraging idea. And they will tell you. I've had some singers come back and be like, that one thing you said to me, that really changed the trajectory. And I'm like, but in the moment, I'm like, did it? Because I just feel like I'm not nobody, but I feel like, can that really have changed your trajectory? You were already on a fantastic trajectory. You didn't need me.
Yeah.
Or you didn't need, Gilitha, or, you were already on that path. But it's nice to see them when the path becomes fully realized. I was in LA this past, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, and I saw Romeo and Juliet.
I was going to say Duke.
With Duke. And it was a moment where I just got really teary-eyed, because I was like, you see someone who was here as an apprentice, who had, a role on stage, and they were so good. And, life happens for people, and you don't know where life is going to take them.
That's right.
But to see where life has taken Duke, and to hear how beautifully he sings, and how, much he has developed his own stagecraft, it's like, wow, it's nice to know that the Santa Fe Opera had a part in telling you could do this.
Absolutely.
Because this place is a huge validation for these singers of maybe I can do this.
That's
and
right.
We say, maybe you can.
Yes,
exactly.
Maybe you can. I just want to say we're talking about tenor Duke Kim, who is returning to Santa Fe Opera this summer to sing in Rigoletto.
Yeah.
Just a beautiful singer.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Anna, Chandler, and I were in the studio for well over an hour on our recording day.
Yeah, we had a lot to talk about.
And Chandler said so many key things that I want young singers to hear.
So we convinced our producer, Andrea, to give us a part 2 for this conversation.
Coming up on the next episode of Key Change, we go deep into how to set yourself up for success in the audition process and beyond.
Key Change is a production of the Santa Fe Opera, Department of Community Engagement and Education.
We are produced and edited by Andrea Klender at the Creative Imposter Studios.
I'm Anna Garcia.
And I'm Olga Perez Flora.
Our audio engineers are Colin Ungerleiter and Cabby at Cabby Sound Studios in Santa Fe.
Technical direction by Edwin R. Ruiz.
Production support from Alex Riegler.
Show notes by Lisa Witter.
This podcast is made possible due to the generous support of the Hankins Foundation, principal education sponsor of the Santa Fe Opera.
To learn more, visit us at santafeopera.org/keychange.
And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at the Santa Fe Opera.
I'm excited to hear everyone. I want everyone to do well. I want the choice to be so hard. And I think for young singers, they should know that the panel wants you to do an exceptional job. No one wants you to fail. No one. And it is exciting when you rise and meet, your own standard, your own occasion, when you rise to the occasion. But it is heartbreaking for us as well when it doesn't go the way you wanted it to. Because ultimately, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. So that's my, one of my notes to singers is that, take peace in knowing that, we're rooting for you.